Hey guys, FilthyRobot here, telling you how to beat Lindwurms. So Lindwurms are a fairly interesting fight. I don't know really where to situate them on risk versus reward. The reward isn't great for them, but the reward is fairly situational. The Lindworm scales are okay, the money off them is decent, but there's not a lot of usable gear that you get from them. Getting scales to make more scales to fight more Lindwurms is fairly pointless since there isn't a lot of reason to want to fight Lindwurms in the first place. They are a very territorial and annoying kind of enemy, so they will chase you around. So sometimes just clearing them out is a nice thing to do. They're fairly easy fight. Even in fairly decent numbers, you can take them very, very early in the game if you understand their mechanics. I tend to be lazy when I fight them, and I fight them a little bit later and fight them with megas because it's just the simplest way to do it. But you can basically do it on positioning alone. So the way that Lindworm works is its tail does not have a zone of control. Its head does. Its head can attack 2 tiles away from it. So like a pike, basically. It has a radius of 2 everywhere. And it can move 1 tile in attack, but it can't move 2 tiles in attack. So anytime if you're to this tile, if you're 3 tiles away from the Lindworm, you can be attacked by it. But if you're 4 tiles away, you cannot from a Lindworm. So you can control Lindworm positioning by staying 4 tiles away. The head will always move and never attack you doing that. And you can kite them around. This is particularly powerful in the early game when you're fighting maybe only 2 to 3 Lindworms or 3 to 4 Lindworms. You can do that, use 1 to 2 guys basically constantly running away from the Lindworms as they constantly reposition chasing it, and then use archers to focus fireworms as you're doing this. You can do this basically on day like 5. If you have enough arrows and you have enough archers, even inaccurate archers, you can do that. You can fight this with basically almost nobody and get Lindworm kills pretty early on. A little bit later, if you're trying to do this strategy-wise, it's a melee defense fight for me. It's based around putting brothers in front of them to control their positioning and then using reach weapons to attack them. Very similar to unholds, except they're much easier to control than unholds. They do massive amounts of armor damage if they hit you, so you really want to avoid being hit by them, either by kiting them or by using massive amounts of melee defense. And if you ever hit them with melee yourself, you trigger acid, which is a armor. It's 10% of your armor per turn for 3 turns on both head and body if you hit them in melee. So the goal is never to hit them in melee unless you have acid-proof armor. And acid-proof armor basically comes either from famed items or from farming Lindworm scales. And there's no real reason to do that. The rewards aren't good enough to bother with that. Your back rank DPS is the way to go with this. Archers are fine, pikemen are fine. Anything that has reach can do that. This is another one of the fights where the initiative of the opponent is relevant. You can often wait past the first part of your turn, walk in and attack, and then go ahead of them on the second turn, attack them and walk out with pikemen, so you never have to be in range of the head. The tails will AoE if you stand near that, so don't stand near those if you can. And the heads will have attack of opportunity if you move. Be aware when Lindworms flee, if they ever break, either part of their body can rally, the tail or the head. So you need to be adjacent to both the tail and the head. If the tail or the head rallies, the other half rallies. And I've had that be nasty for me. I think actually in this clip, I learned this thing where the tail rallied because I wasn't next to it, and then the head rallied and started attacking me. But your basis premise is try to use as few tanks as possible to control as many of the positioning of these guys as they can. If they can attack, they almost always will. So placing a brother in a position where even if he's not adjacent to the head, the heads will see him and attack him is really powerful for keeping them in place. Try not to leave big gaps in your line, because if you leave big gaps in your line, the Lindworms will move through them. And chase after your back rank, and that makes you very inefficient to deal DPS, like very, very painful to try to deal damage. So what I tend to do is something like this, a very low number of very high melee defense brothers in the front using shields. They do shield wall instead of indomitable because the melee defense is king here and they don't have knockback attacks, and they just never attack. Their whole goal is recover, adrenaline, and shield wall, or if they don't have adrenaline because they're normally a 2-hander and I'm just using them for this role, it's basically just recover plus shield wall. It's fairly easy to get away from these guys in general since the tails don't have zone of control and the heads are rarely adjacent to you, which means if you start taking a bunch of damage, you can just walk away a lot of times. And your goal is to focus fire on one at a time as quickly as possible, or two at a time quickly as possible, to reduce the numbers of them. Be aware as it gets a little bit later in the fight, the Lindwurms will try to run, even if their morale isn't broken. And if you're trying to make sure that you get all of the loot out of them as possible, you may have to position in a way to prevent them from running in the late game. You can see me doing it here a little bit of keeping the pikes out of range, attacking the tail. The tail and the head's hit point is linked, if that's not clear. So attacking the tail of a Lindwurm will kill its head at the same rate as attacking the head. And the goal is just not to get hit as much as possible. So high defense shields. This is another fight where fame shields are great. High defense shields, high defense brothers. Use a shield wall. This is a nice fight to actually use shield wall. And shield wall is so useless in so many fights. And it's so good in this fight. Just sitting there hoping they roll on 15, 20, 5%ers, etc. They do massive amounts of armor damage when they hit. Not so much body damage, so you can take a couple hits before losing your brothers. Nimble is fine here. If you have nimble tanks, it's fine. But so is Battleforge. This is actually a fight where Battleforge doesn't do too poorly. And just enjoy. It's a fairly easy way to get experience. You can do this much earlier in the game than we are doing it here. This is a late game Lindwurm fight, but you can do these fairly easily. Not so much standing still versus those, more along the lines of kiting, the kiting strategy of constantly getting the heads to chase you as you move, change positions. Just watch your positioning with your back rank as you're doing that. It's harder to use pikemen in a scenario like that. You basically have to find one worm that you're not kiting, that you're just tanking, and you have to keep the rest of them moving. Anyways, guys, hopefully this was helpful. I'll leave you with the full clip. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Oh, it's only 5. What? Sure. Who wants to hunt Lindwurms? Now, the annoying part is we actually have full Lindwurm immunity on one of our guys, Lindwurm acid immunity, because we have 3 of the chest plates equipped, but they're on our nimble guys. And then we have a hat somewhere. Oh, Hakima's level up too. Somewhere. All right, megas for this. Probably don't need pen, although he's got a reach weapon on right now. Like 2 or 3 of our hats are. Oh, we were gonna check the. Oh shit. What's the ratio on this? 239. So I'm looking at right now for body ratio in here at. This is about. Oh my god, 173/12 right now. But it's -40, so it's one. Oh, that's the good stuff too. That's the 133/12. That stuff's sweet. But the other ratio, which was fine, is the ratio on Hakim, which is where are you? There. So this is 160 over 17 over 15 actually. So like 11, 10.6 to 1. And what is this? 239/22. That's about the same ratio. Could this be like Schmookel's gear? Like a heavier gear that you can wear with a light hat? So I guess we can plug that in and take a look. Nimble comparisons. So what is this shit called? It's called Veterans Full Mail. And the body on this is 239. Run it with the 40 hat, see what it looks like. Total weight then is 22. What's the reduction on that? Where are you, Schmookel? You're there. $50. It's pretty good. Doesn't give much in the, well, doesn't matter. So even doubled, it's still a little light on the head. And its body HP isn't all that great either. It's actually not very good nimble gear, it looks like. Bummer. How precisely was nimble changed? It used to be percent based, and percent based whether or not it reduced, and now it always reduces at a set rate. So that gear is probably just mid-range leveling gear. Just kind of shitty. Oh well. Alright, we're gonna fight these Lindwurms. That's right, we were setting up to fight Lindwurms. How did we want to set up to fight Lindwurms? Archers. Halfway through this. Oh, and we get so sidetracked. All right, I don't really want to hit Lindwurms at close range with weapons. Like, it's such a dumb idea. Just run in 3 megas, let them get hit a bunch of times, shoot them with archers. Get some reach weapons in. Seems fine. That's a reach weapon. That's not. Who else is coming in? Nobu with a billhook. Both my Iron Lung characters with billhooks, I think. There's Vitamin. Wow. It's too many people. Alright, looks good. Mostly. Don't need these right now. We got these sweet Kraken shields. Let's fucking use them, boys. What are we carting around Kraken shields? We're not gonna use them. What's the weight on them, by the way? So weight on these are 14 on a heater, I believe. And what's the weight on a Kraken shield? 15? It weighs more? I killed a fucking Kraken for this. That's dumb. I get 4 melee defense at the cost of 1 fatigue for killing a Kraken. I am displeased. Filthy is displeased. Alright, well, Code Monkey and Og can use that still. And you can have a nice heater shield. Feels good. Okay. More durable. 50 as opposed to 32. Yep, a lot more durable. But it's still not going to be durable enough to protect it indefinitely from getting attacked by orcs. You probably still aren't using it versus orcs, so they'll cut them. Well, he wants to run. Yeah, but run away from the swamps. Okay, that's fine. Make sure everything's equipped. I think it is. Our archers have bows again. Looks good. Okay. Where are we with the respect to the Kraken? Where are we with respect to the Kraken? We already finished Kraken. Finished it this morning. We discovered that it's very, 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 very RNG heavy. I was watching Arvius just abuse the shit out of the Lindworm AI. You can get it so they basically never attack you. We don't have to do it at this stage, but so I think basically what it is it's a 6 AP attack for the Lindworm, or maybe a 5 AP attack. I think it's a 6 AP attack on the Lindworm. So I think as long as you're 3 tiles out, they always move and don't attack. I think. No, it'd be 1 and move. Maybe it's 4 tiles out.
20 hours of Battle Brothers and Mass Effect. I am dead inside.
But you're becoming a real boy, Shiro, as a streamer. So it's good. It's good, man. I like how we alternate body and armor hits just to make sure it never fucking dies. Look at these crummy looking Kraken shields. It looks like someone fucking... I don't know. Looks like a shell you'd find on a beach. He's overwhelmed by how many times? Oh, it splits the overwhelm on tail versus head? Boo. I guess I should be shooting the heads. even need shield walls, you think, on this? I don't know. Stunned, ouch. Yeah, you do need the shield wall. Those are like 17s up top. It's my first Lindworm fight. No. We took one pretty early in this campaign.
Our modest
Goodness
fellowship
gracious!
expands. Praise the sub.
Plaguebird with the 10 sub gift. Thank you very much. Dagna47 over Russell Logs. I just work here. Garlosh82. Longest Haiku. Mentark. James4965. Prinception. Creative username. And Anime Saint. Welcome to the channel. Thanks again, Plaguebird. Cheers.
Our modest fellowship expands. Praise the sub.
Fresh from the stagecoach. Fresh from the stagecoach. Fresh from the stagecoach. Another poor fool lost in time and space. Fresh from the stagecoach.
Oh, thanks, Plaguebird. I'm glad. I know some people didn't like it, but we were testing. The goal is to make it so that next time we fight the fucking Kraken, we can go in with a certain setup and beat it without losing people. That's the point of doing that. I don't want this guy running.
Our modest fellowship expands. Praise the sub.
What do you guys think? Are megas not too bad? My major issue is just playing Iron Man at the time. Test end game fight stupidly high. Well, if you play it where you just fucking die every time, you know, for sure. Why spears in the megas? Because you want accuracy on them. Spears are a little bit heavier than swords, but this guy has a little bit higher accuracy, so I can use the sword and still have it. If you have a low enough melee attack, the enemies just ignore you. And they'll walk away from your mega. So you need some accuracy, so I use spears to boost their accuracy so they can't walk away as easily. No, there'll be no running. Absolutely not. Annoyingly, I do have to reposition for the melee. I can rotate in, rotate out. It's just easier to do it with the tail. The tail's more predictable. Don't need to take shots on these guys for no reason. Just takes a turn to relocate. It's not a close fight at all for us, so. Oops. A little bit of friendly fire. No one saw it. No one got hurt. It's fine. Make sure it doesn't get away. The only annoying thing is it will run and spread acid on fucking everybody. Stop shooting our own guys. That was a little awkward. I guess I don't need to have two guys getting sprayed. Oh, it rallied? How did it rally with the guy next to it? It can't rally with the guy next to it. What in the actual fuck just happened? That's not how the game mechanics of this game work. You can't just decide to rally. It moved its tail. It didn't like... I wonder if it's a bug from something to do with either the mod or something else. Alright. Weird RNG Magarus with the most damage of the archers. Okay, 3 bones, 2 scales, and some hordes. Sure.